Welcome to the 12th episode of Real Talk with Claudia. You know, here we talk about self-development, wellness, mental health, community values, anything that is helping us become better individuals. And today I am very excited because we are talking about dietetics and nutrition. So there's no way you can touch wellness without touching these two. And our guest today is Khumbu. Are you comfortable being called Khumbu?
I prefer Khumbu.
Khumbu.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So today we have the distinct pleasure of hosting Khumbu Dlamini, whom we can refer to as Khumbu. And Khumbu, thank you so much for joining us today. I'm so humbled. Thank you for making the time. People who tune in on Real Talk with Claudia are people who care about wellness, about self-development, about their actions and how they impact their lives and the lives of those around them and their communities. So we're truly honored that you join us today to have these inspirational conversations. We're confident that we have a lot to learn from you today. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
I'm also great. Thank you as well.
Thank you so much for having me here.
Yeah.
Yes, my first podcast ever. So
happy to be your
rough
first.
Around the edges.
Happy to be your first, hey?
Yeah, thank you.
And during my self-development journey, one of the things that had to shift is my relationship that I had with food.
Yeah.
So really, really happy to dive deep into these conversations today. And hopefully someone who's on their self-development and health journey is going to gain a lot from this. So, yeah, would you like to introduce yourself and just let us know what is dietetics?
Introduce myself. There's a lot to say in
Please.
Introducing myself.
Give
Should
us.
I just go?
We're all ears.
Okay.
We're here for that.
Okay, well, name's already been stated. I am Swazi, born and raised, born in Manzini. I think we were born, you said you were born at RFM, right?
Yes.
I was also born at RFM. Yeah.
RFM babies.
So I was born in Manzini,
Yeah.
Did my primary and high school in Eswatini. Then when I was in high school, I fell sick, actually. So that's how I actually discovered dietetics as a profession. Okay. So I fell sick. I had some digestive issues for about 2 years in high school, and I was in and out of the doctor's office. And eventually the doctor was just like, please go change your diet because we can't keep doing this with you every month or every 2 months. So that was the days of dial-up internet. So that should tell you how old I am.
I don't even know dial-up internet.
You don't? Oh, yeah, no, I've exposed my age. That was when you actually had to there'd be a cable. It was provided by SPTC, and there'd be a cable that you'd attach to the computer and then do some dial-up process, and then the internet would connect. So it wasn't an automated connection.
Yeah.
It was, if you think the internet is slow now, you should have experienced dial-up. Yeah. So that was back in the days of dial-up internet, and I just did my own research around
How old were you?
eating. I was probably maybe 16, 17, somewhere there, yeah. So I did my own research around healthy eating, how to improve my digestive issues through my diet, and I applied it. I mean, of course, a lot of things were shaky.
Yeah.
I applied it and I actually got a lot better, and I never had to go back to there'd be a few issues, but it wasn't the same as before where I'd be in the doctor's office every single month. So I actually got better. And even at 17, I thought, I love this nutrition stuff and I need to learn more about it so that I can empower other people with it. So now I was doing my matric year. It was time to start applying for university. And when I was doing my research on universities, I discovered that you can actually study dietetics and make it. I actually just thought it was more of a westernized type profession. Only Westerners get to be nutrition professionals.
Yeah.
So I discovered that universities in South Africa offer dietetics. And I decided that this is what we're applying for and we're going for it. So I applied, didn't get in the first time around, had to take the longer route, did a BSc first just for a year. Then I transferred over into dietetics. So now what I thought it would be versus what it was at university, two different things.
Yeah. What did you find on the other side?
Firstly, it's an intense program.
Okay.
So it's not just, nutrition is straightforward. It's a science. So you spend 4 years at university and it's a health science profession. So already from university, you're being trained to work with people, with sick people, with people in hospital. So you have to work on your people skills as well. The program is also quite broad. So it's not just that you focus on the healthcare component of it. You had to learn how to master community nutrition at university level, as well as food service management, which is where the training in culinary arts also comes in. So it was, I got a lot more than I had anticipated, but I was determined to get that degree. Nothing was going to stop me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All from just your
From my
gastro.
my digestive issues.
I kept on saying dietetics, it's dietetics.
Dietetics, yes. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
You're not the only one who gets it wrong. Like, you'd be surprised when people say I'm a nutritionalist. I'm a dietitian.
Yeah.
I never understand where the R comes from.
Like you say, because it's not popular things. I was actually curious about how did you know there's anything like that? Because Tina, we know doctor, lawyer, teacher, nurse,
accountant. Yeah.
Now agriculture is becoming a little bit popular. So how do you find yourself in dietetics? So
personal experience and wanting to. I don't even know how my 18-year-old brain thought of that, to like learn to study that so I can help other people. But I think it made me realize that nutrition is so powerful. If you have if your nutrition is right, you basically almost eliminate the risk of diseases in your life.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Okay, can we just try to understand a little bit deeper for the average person watching, what do we mean by nutrition?
Okay, so when we talk, let me try and
nutrition and diet.
Let me try and break this down so it's not so scientific.
Yeah.
I go crazy when people give me a complicated explanation about their field. I'm like, no, just dumb it down.
Yes.
This is the dummy type level. Yeah.
Dumb it down.
Exactly. So when we talk about nutrition, we're basically talking about everything that the body needs to function efficiently.
Okay.
So food, what I've realized with people's relationship with food is that we see it as something that fills our stomachs, and then my life can continue. Nothing irritates me, nothing bothers me. But no one actually ever thinks of nutrition from the perspective of, what is this food doing in my body? Does this food have a greater purpose in the body other than just filling my stomach? So I often say to people, think of food the same way you do your car. If you want your car to run efficiently, you need to have good tires, wipers. It needs to be filled with petrol or diesel or whatever it is that it requires to run efficiently. The same goes for your body. You can't expect your body to run efficiently, but you've eliminated a food group entirely. So, like people who go and eliminate carbohydrates completely, and then you still expect your body to run efficiently. It won't, because the body's not being well nourished. Every food group that exists for a reason, because it helps to power the body in some way.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. It's interesting that you touch on that. I just wanted to ask you about, as you say, that people maybe are not mindful of the foods that they take. So it's possible that you could feel like, oh, I'm eating all the time, I'm full, but everything that you take is not servicing your body in any way.
Yeah. Exactly. So that can happen. Like, it will keep you full.
Yeah.
But in terms of actually preventing diseases or keeping the blood vessels healthy, because remember, your food does so much more than just keep you full. It's there to keep the blood vessels healthy, which means in turn your heart is healthy, your organs, your eyes, everything is the risk of, your body's ability to prevent diseases is also improved because your body has been nourished well.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. We'll dive into the health aspect part of it a little later. But right now, there's just some hot topics that I want to touch on.
Okay.
In relation to diet anyway. So I've observed a couple of times here in Eswatini, just going around about, and I'm with guys, and they highlight the fact that, Claudia, and then I noticed the same thing. I was visiting Zimbabwe, and I heard the same observation. All Shona girls now have nyash. All Shona girls now have nyash. And I'm just curious, does this have anything to do with our diet, Nabo KFC, you think?
Possibly, it could, definitely. Obviously, there's the genetic component. African bodies are extremely different. And unfortunately, we live in a world where, even for myself growing up, where the messaging pumped at you is more Western type bodies.
Yeah.
But we're African. So I think it's only now, so one of the reasons I think it's only coming up now, it's only now where African women are celebrating their bodies instead of striving towards a more Western type of physique. I was one of them. I started working out because I wanted to be a size 28. I laugh at that now when I think of it. So one thing could be that, firstly, we are now observing it more because we're now celebrating our bodies as Africans instead of trying to achieve a more Western type physique. The diet could also play a role as well, because most of the time a lot of us are actually consuming more food than we actually need. So basically, for the body to survive on a daily basis, it does need a certain amount of food. So that's why starvation is also never a good route to take to achieve any health goal. You actually do yourself an injustice. So the body does need a certain amount of food to survive, but because of the diets, like you've touched on, a lot of processed food, a lot of fast food, that food tends to be so high in calories. Calories is the unit we use to measure the energy you get from food. So because there's so many calories that you're getting from that food, you find that you end up storing extra fat.
And just for umbukele ekhaya, calories. Asisebenzise local name for it, maybe sithi unani kusenza kakhulu lokudla.
No, so calories are a unit of measure the same way kilograms are a unit of measure for the body.
All right.
So each food that we eat gives the body a certain amount of calories. So then we look at it by the end of the day, how many calories have you then gotten from that specific food or from your overall diet?
Okay.
So your calories, how can I put it like in the simplest way possible?
Or maybe let's try to go for plates for someone who's trying to fix their diet.
Good plan.
How much per serving, how much do you need? And per day, naskula besatu ukuthi you need to have breakfast, eat breakfast like a king, and what lunch, and then have your supper like a servant. Would you still say yes, 3 meals per day? And how much the portions melabe ngaganan?
Definitely. So 3 meals per day that is not something that we do away with.
Okay.
Like I said earlier, food is the body's fuel source, and your body needs to constantly receive that fuel to function efficiently. So 3 meals per day, definitely still there.
Okay.
Now, what I find people freak out when I say 3 meals per day, because we think of 3 meals per day in that large portion that we'd normally be eating, not what I mean when I say 3 meals per day. So definitely 3 meals per day should be there. The portion size is what we need to be more aware of.
Okay.
So some people even eat up to 5 times a day. I think I eat maybe 4 to 5 times a day. Yeah.
From the dietitian
exactly.
4 to 5 times a day.
But of course, portion control is important.
Yes.
So it's very small portions.
Okay.
So we start off with our breakfast. I normally always recommend a high fiber cereal for breakfast. And the reason for that is, should I break down what fiber is as well?
Oh, please.
There's a lot to break down.
And the cereal, when you say cereal, do you mean cornflakes or sorghum?
Okay, so let me break that down. So fiber is the part of plants that the body doesn't have the ability to break down and absorb into the bloodstream like all your other nutrients, but it's important for your digestive health.
Okay.
So I always recommend the high fiber cereals. So that would be sorghum, not cornflakes, and bran flakes instead, or wheat bix, for the simple fact that we need a lot of fiber to function on a daily basis as human beings. Women need about 25 grams and men need 30 grams of fiber. Okay. So I find that with our current diets as they are, the way we nourish ourselves, we're not actually getting enough fiber to meet the fiber needs for the day, which is then I end up getting a lot of people with gastritis or with peptic ulcers, constipation at the top of the list. And we tend to think, oh, this is more medical. And in actual fact, in some cases, I'm not saying it's not always medical. In some cases, we find that it's actually more your diet that's not where it needs to be. Okay. So I always recommend start the day with something that's high in fiber. That could be your oats.
Okay. I just wanted to ask for examples for the typical that people could find at the shop or the backyard garden, but breakfast could include
oats. It can be oats. You can do bran flakes. You can do just quickly what do they say? Saute your spinach or something. You can still do a plate of veggies as part of your breakfast.
Fruits? How are fruits?
You can do fruits as well.
Okay.
But fruits will obviously depend on if you have any medical conditions or not.
Okay.
Yeah, there's certain conditions, diabetes being at the top of the list, that will affect how you actually eat fruits as a person.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Not to say you shouldn't.
Okay. All right. I hope we don't forget. We touch on those things later on about fruits and sugar, I know.
Yeah.
But okay. So now on the oats, Stini, your small bowl.
Small. I always say rather go for a small.
Should you get full? Should you feel like yabong suits, or you should eat? Should you eat to be like suits or?
There's a Japanese saying that I forgot. I obviously don't know how to say it in Japanese, but when you break it down, what they say is that eat until you're 80% full.
Okay.
And I personally like that because I find as Africans, it's not this perception that you must eat until you're full. You must feel full. Then that's when you actually even struggle to feel productive. So I always say don't don't eat until you're uncomfortably full, but at the same time, you have to train your body to get used to that. Because I don't know about your upbringing, but I have memories of not even my mother, my helper shouting at me to finish a plate of food.
Yo.
And I'm 5 years old. I'm full. I'm telling her I'm full, but she's telling me to finish. So
absolutely.
That programs us already to believe that if I've eaten, I must feel that feeling of fullness. So when I now come along as your dietitian and I train you that you can eat but not feel full, not feel that food moving every inch through your digestive system, that's still fine. Yeah, so we don't actually need to eat until we feel full and we want to go take a nap after our meals.
Yeah, I love that. And one of the hacks I learned on my personal journey as well is take your time when you eat, because it takes time for the stomach to report to the brain,
exactly.
And sometimes you might finish your food and feel like but maybe give it some time
and then decide if you want another serving.
All right, that's lovely. And then from breakfast now on to lunch, should there be times Guti have your breakfast by 8 and then your lunch by 1 and then your supper by 5 p.m.?
People are different. So some people may not be able to tolerate breakfast at 8 a.m. or depending on how your schedule is set up as well. I'm not going to impose 8 a.m. on you when you know that by 8 a.m. I'm leaving my kids' school and I'm going to the office. I get to the office and I have to quickly submit something, So the times will vary according to each person. Yeah. So what I normally advise people to do is at least at the latest, because some people do not like breakfast at all, at least aim to have that first meal by 10 a.m. But even then, you need to discipline yourself. The reason we want to, I don't want to say impose, but the reason we encourage you to actually eat your breakfast, lunch, and supper is to avoid you snacking on things. So what we tend to do as people when we're hungry, even though people tell me, no, but I don't feel hungry. The moment you start reaching for sweets and chocolates and knickknacks in the office, you're hungry. You may not physically feel it, but because your blood sugar levels are so low from your body not receiving enough nutrients, you're hungry, so you start snacking. So I say to people, if you are the type who needs to take your first meal at 10 a.m., be mindful of what happens between that 8 a.m. and 10 a.m. because you might find yourself snacking impulsively since you are actually hungry. So that first meal of the day, dependent on each person, but a lot of discipline will be required. A lot of discipline comes with it. And then for the following meals, I always say, time it to at least eat every 3 to 4 hours. But also pay attention to your body.
Disturbing, sorry.
No problem. Everyone's body has got the signal to tell you that now I need to eat or now I'm hungry. So find the system that will work best for you. For myself personally, I found that eating every 3 to 4 hours works because that basically it keeps me from snacking. I'm still human at the end of the day. So what I would find previously is if I waited too long to eat, I'd start thinking, I want KFC. KFC was my weird craving whenever I was hungry. So eventually I figured that, no, it's not that I want the KFC. I'm just hungry. So then I had to set that timer to say, let me eat every 3 to 4 hours at least. So it will depend on everyone's schedule, but try and have a set routine that will work best for your life. But of course, when it comes to that last meal of the day specifically, don't now eat supper and then go to bed 1 hour later. At least give it a 2 to 3 hour window of digestion to take place and then go to bed.
And for supper, what do you suggest, especially when it comes to the density of the meals? Guba heavy. Wow. Would you suggest that lunch is heavier and supper is lighter? Because generally what we're used to as Africans is pap for supper and meat, those heavy meals. So what would you suggest in terms of that?
First, I would actually suggest more of an individualized approach. First, it's really challenging to give someone generic advice around how heavy should your meals be because everyone's lifestyle is different. So for the guy who's working in construction, maybe a bricklayer, for instance, versus the man who sits in an office, their recommendations won't be the same. This one is burning through their food like crazy because the job is physically demanding versus the person who's got an office job. Their metabolic rate, the rate at which their digestion moves is much slower. So the recommendations for those two would be different. That one actually needs more of an individualized approach because everyone's lifestyle is different. So we take that into account as dietitians when we plan your nutrition as well.
All right, gotcha. And then there's something you said in passing that that starvation does not necessarily help you reach your health goals.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit curious on that. What did you mean by that? Because at the same time, there's fasting, intermittent fasting. It's some of the things that I used to practice. So would you suggest things as fasting?
No, I do not. Definitely
Okay.
not. I mean, unless if you're doing it for religious reasons, I respect that.
Okay.
But not as a daily part of your life. I don't encourage fasting at all.
Okay.
Yeah, for the one.
Can we start by getting on the same page what we mean by fasting?
Good point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because this is how I would, for an example, for intermittent fasting, there's like the 6-hour window where you only eat in 6 hours, and the 12-hour one where you get to eat after 12 hours. You eat anything. You're not capped on what you can eat. It's just that you eat only in 12 hours, for 6 hours as well. And for some other people, fasting may look like just cutting certain foods like meat, you know?
Yeah.
So maybe what would be the type of fasting that you advise against?
So the type of fasting I'm referring to, firstly, is the intermittent fasting. That's all the rage nowadays.
Okay.
And then also people who will call it starvation. But what they do is you find they'll just eat one meal per day.
Okay.
And then because they want to achieve a particular goal, which is normally weight loss in my experience. So that's the type of fasting that I'm referring to, where you restrict your food because there's a particular health goal that you want to achieve. Yeah, people who cut out food groups, and that's a different conversation altogether.
Okay.
Yeah, but that's the fasting that I'm referring to that I don't encourage.
Okay.
Because like I said earlier, our food is basically the body's fuel source when used correctly. If you deprive your body of food for any certain period of time, there will be consequences, because now the body's registering that I don't have enough vitamin A or vitamin B, I don't have enough carbs, I don't have enough protein. That compromises how your body is going to function. So you may not feel it week 1, you may not feel it week 2. In some cases, you may not even feel it for a few years, and then a few years later you come along and you've developed certain health conditions because of the lifestyle that you chose, which would be the fasting, to achieve whatever health goal you had.
Okay.
Yeah.
So for people to even get to a point where they feel like they are fasting or they want to fast, it's because, like you say, they're trying to achieve body goals, and most times it is weight loss. So what would you advise to those kinds of people who are trying to lose weight, but don't starve yourself?
See your dietitian.
They must come to you.
Yeah, no, they must come to me or retail. No, there's actually quite a few dietitians in the country now. So rather see your dietitian so that we can teach you and empower you. For me, the empowerment is the most important thing. Because I always say to people that maintaining your weight shouldn't be a seasonal thing. It's something that we actually work on consistently. If each day you take the right step to actually help your body maintain its weight, it's -1 stressful thing on your to-do list of life. Yeah. So I always say, learn how to nourish your body. If your body is well nourished, it will do everything else on its own. Because we often think to assist the body, we need to do crazy, absurd things like the starvation or detoxes or cleanses. Whereas what the body needs is all its nutrients, and it will know how to do it. And it knows how to do its job, and it will do it efficiently. So know how to get in your vitamin A, your vitamin B, vitamin C, your protein, your carbohydrates, your healthy fats, and then your body will do the rest on its own.
Do you think knowing your blood group type is important in relation to the foods that you eat?
No, it's not.
Is it? No. I'm relieved.
No,
thank you.
Yeah, no, it's not. Yeah, there's no scientific evidence to prove that the blood group diet actually works. And what I also say to people is, so from my experience, in my 10 years of experience as a dietitian, I'll meet someone, say you're 25 years old, and a year ago you discovered you're O positive and you shouldn't be eating bananas, so you cut out the bananas. Then I ask you, did you ever get sick from eating a banana? No, you didn't. So why are you cutting out the banana? So there's no reason to actually follow that blood group diet, because there's no scientific evidence to prove that it will actually help you achieve your health goals. There are far more important things to consider when you want to plan your nutrition around the health goals versus your blood group.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Got you. Now let's touch on diabetes, cancer, sicknesses related to food. What are food patterns that you might have noticed that you have seen contributing much to both diabetes and cancer? What's the link there?
it's not just the food patterns alone. Lifestyle, first of all.
Okay.
We're stressed as a society. Stress being at the top of the list as one of the biggest contributors to the development of certain diseases. Because stress puts the body in a state that it was not born or created to operate under consistently. Stress for short periods of time is great. It helps you achieve a particular goal. But chronic stress is linked to some of these diseases that we're seeing now. We're not sleeping enough as a society. Everyone keeps saying, I struggle to sleep. And sometimes I say, work on your sleep hygiene. It does, a lot of the things that are worth having take a lot of work to achieve, unfortunately. I'm sure you know that from your own personal health and wellness journey as well. So before we even talk to the food, it's just the lifestyle in itself. We are inactive, we're not resting, and then we're highly stressed, constantly under pressure.
And the stress also making us feel like snacking more and eating more.
Some of us are using food to actually cope with our stress. Yeah, so there's a lot to consider when we look at disease, what causes the diseases before we even get to our food.
And I've once listened to a podcast and it was talking about how the other challenge that we have is that when a person comes to see a doctor, maybe, maybe they found out that I have diabetes or whatever it is. Mostly this could be, the contribution would be the fact that maybe the healthcare sector sometimes is underfunded and the doctors are also under a lot of pressure. So they just rush to give a prescription when maybe the conversation should start at, how is your lifestyle? What's happening? Are you having stress? Do you sleep enough? And you find that the cure would be, as you say, better sleep, would be better stress management and a better diet.
Definitely. And also more medical checkups. I've also found most people aren't aware that they can walk into a hospital and say, I'm not sick or I don't feel sick, but I just want to do certain tests to make sure that I'm still healthy. So by the time you get to the hospital, this disease has progressed so far that it's so much more challenging to actually manage you at that point. So we also need to actually be proactive with doing our health checks and just do them annually if you can. Yeah.
Okay. All right. And okay.
Oh no, so I want to say, definitely the health sector, the challenges are definitely there because even as healthcare professionals, we're human ourselves. So at times you will just say, I need to just do what I can for this person and get you out of my office. We sometimes also don't remember to think as far as, okay, which other areas should we actually explore to better assist this person?
Okay.
We live in Eswatini at the moment. We're seeing the crisis within the healthcare sector and not everyone's blessed to be able to actually come to a private setting for their healthcare as well.
And for those people who maybe can't necessarily afford that kind of healthcare, what would you advise them? It's okay, maybe now there's diabetes, but what's that strong message that you want to put out there to them?
Take care of yourself. Just take care of your body the best way you possibly can. If your body is healthy, then we eliminate the need or we eliminate other stressors that affect your health specifically. So always prioritize your own health and well-being, which is something I find we don't do as people. Even within my work, when I talk to people about how are you managing? Do you take walks? Do you journal? Do you see a psychologist? No, I can't afford it. No, I don't have time. I'm busy with this. And I always have to remind people that you come first. All these other, if you are healthy, you are in a better position to achieve all your other goals. If you are sick, then your ability to achieve the other goals is also compromised. I also love how you're linking up everything. As we might already know that food is medicine, but also these things work together. It works together with sleep. It works together with seeing a therapist. It works together with taking walks, with journaling, with it's a whole package. And you need to be mindful and try to exercise all of it as well. All right. Okay. That's one more thing also I wanted to say, some of us dietitians are actually on Instagram. I personally don't mind if people DM me, if you can't get those access to certain healthcare, send me a message and I'll guide you in the best in any direction I can, depending on whatever facilities or services are available. So we are more accessible. The nice thing with the 21st century is that we are more accessible. We've got social media platforms. Drop a DM to someone. Don't be scared to ask for help.
But I feel like, again, when it comes to dropping DMs, what would you say is the best way for someone to reach out to you? Because I think that's just one other area where we could try to improve as well. Because sometimes we drop it DM lapha we are having an exhausting day.
Yeah.
So they need to be mindful, it needs to be respectful, you know. So what's the
Definitely.
best way to
Yeah.
reach out to you, especially when someone comes with those purposes to find out, to get help in terms of diet and nutrition?
Be
Hi,
polite.
Khumbu.
Yeah. For me, manners are everything for me.
Yeah.
I was raised by my grandmother and my grandfather. So
Yeah.
the first 12 years of my life. So just be polite. I absolutely dislike when someone sends, "Hi Khumbu, so I have this issue that's X, Y, and Z. How can you help me?" Send them, "Hi Khumbu, my name is so and so.
Yeah.
I have a challenge that's like X, Y, and Z. Would you be able to help me? Is this an area of your expertise? Or please guide me in the right direction." I'm always happy to help. But if you DM me and you're entitled, I can't.
Yeah.
It's a turn off.
Okay. I
Yeah.
totally get you. And everything that you shared with us, do you practice? Are you able to practice as well?
I do actually. Yeah.
Yeah, your conscience is clean.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Very much so.
Yeah.
It's more the mental health things where I'm terrible. But
Yeah.
physical health, yeah.
You try.
No, I tried, but also firstly, I fell sick at 17, so
Yeah.
I felt the effects of a poor diet. And back then I knew it was a poor diet.
What did you need to improve?
So it's 7, so I'll share a bit of my life story.
Okay.
So let's see. At that time, because I was raised by a single mother, so my mom did the best that she could. So she really did spoil us quite a lot. You got all the desires of your heart, and at 17, you just want KFC and pizza. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
So I am, now that I'm older and looking back on that, I realized that that diet was poor, because if you wanted to eat pizza, sure, here you go. If you want ribs, there you go. You don't want to drink water, here you go. So it was more of a diet thing that I then realized, looking back at it now, that was what caused my digestive issues. And then also, unfortunately, I've had weight issues most of my childhood. Not that they weight, I don't consider them weight issues, but I come from a family of very curvy women.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's just been passed on. So growing up, I always got a lot of comments about my weight.
Yeah.
Oh, now you've lost too much weight. Now you've gained weight. Now you look. So I always hated those comments. And funny enough, they actually fueled me. So I then, when I was now old enough to afford my gym subscription, I just decided that gym's going to be part of my life first and foremost. So that's how I'm actually able to now keep up that routine with working out. And then because I've fallen sick before from poor diet, that's what keeps me on track with my diet, with my nutrition at the moment.
Okay.
And in as much as it has improved, 1 week of bad eating and my digestive system will tell me that now
Yeah,
you've
it
messed up.
reports. Because
Yeah.
that's the other thing, the body communicates with you.
It does,
So for an
yeah.
example, if you eat something and it causes you heartburn, that's your body communicating
body,
with you.
yeah,
You know, so
exactly.
sometimes that's how you can know that, oh, these foods, maybe they don't work
Yeah.
for me, you know.
Precisely.
All right, okay. Before
That's an important point
Yeah.
to raise, actually. The body communicates.
Yeah.
And I guess it's something most people are not aware of. Like even outside of the mental health space, which I know at the moment the trend is all around the body communicating within the mental health space, but even through with your nutrition, your body communicates. It tells you that, okay, now you've really messed up, or just to tell you that I'm hungry, I'm
Yes,
full. That's
yes.
communication from the body. We just need to actually learn to listen to it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Constipation is your body telling you that you're not eating right. Bloating as well, where you've got a lot of gas circulating in your system. That's your body telling you that I'm not well nourished.
And the diarrhea?
That too. It can be in some cases, yeah.
Yeah. You touched on a couple of things that I would also love to touch on. Parents, because maybe of our backgrounds as well, right?
Yeah.
We always feel like, I want my children to have the life I never had.
Yeah.
You know, and then we do that by what? By giving them pizzas and KFC,
Giving them all the desires of their
chocolates.
hearts.
Yes, that.
Yeah.
I would like you to touch on that. And actually, sometimes, even individuals or parents feeling like, I'm healthy, I just have cornflakes in the morning. Oh, I've stopped eggs. You know, there was the
Yeah.
connotation around that,
The
not
eggs.
being healthy. So I would just love for you to touch on that. And also on body weight. You did say that as Africans, especially maybe African women, we are curvy
Yeah.
and, thick. That's the word that we use nowadays. But do you think there's a point where, as an individual, you need to be cautious and be aware and be careful that when is this body weight unhealthy for me?
Yeah.
Like, how can you know? Yeah.
Okay. No, definitely. There is a point where your body weight will then be unhealthy for you, where it puts your health at risk. So one of the ways is obviously just, you can even pop into your dietitian's office and ask us to do the measures for you so that we can, because we are trained in taking people's measures and interpreting it to determine if it's putting their health at risk.
IBM.
BMI.
BMI.
I don't use that thing. It's like,
You don't?
It was formulated in 1863 on European men by a what do you say, statistician?
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah,
Basically, the guy
statistician.
was- yes, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's 1863 mathematician. Oh, I'm not going to try to say it again. On European men. So already
Okay.
in a healthcare setting, I feel, or based on my discretion, it's not the best tool or indicator to use because, like we said earlier, we are Africans, so our body composition is entirely different to European men. And we're taking a standard from 1863 and applying it to the here and now. So I don't use BMI personally.
Okay.
Yeah, I invested in a body composition analyzer. So basically it looks like a scale, but it gives more than just your weight. So it gives me your body fat. It tells me how much muscle you've got, how much water circulating in your bloodstream. So those are better indicators.
So when a person comes to you, put them on that scale.
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
All
We're
right.
not just looking at your weight alone.
Yeah.
We're looking at what's actually happening internally as well.
Okay.
Yeah. So rather, body composition is a better indicator. If we're using your weight alone or your physical appearance alone as a determinant of your health risks, body composition is far better than just using BMI alone.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And remember, BMI is calculated using your
Height.
weight and your height.
Yeah.
So if you take an athlete and just an elite athlete and maybe the ordinary man on the street who physically appears overweight, you'll find both their BMIs say they're overweight. But are you going to say an elite athlete is overweight? Are you going to tell them, oh, you're at risk of developing conditions just based on BMI alone? So yeah, BMI is just too much of a standalone measure. So I decided to rather invest in a body composition analyzer.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And off about the pizzas and KFCs. About that.
Yeah.
About parents rewarding their children with that.
Yeah.
Please, word of advice.
When it comes to it, but the unfortunate thing is the parents also still need to be empowered within the nutrition space and the nutrition knowledge. Because I was having a discussion with a friend of mine and we were talking about our perception of nutrition as when we were growing up. And the perception that even I had was that I'm only healthy when I'm on a particular diet. So even from the time I was 13, I would skip dinner just to try and lose weight. It's like I'm saying, I got a lot of comments about my weight. So I didn't have that messaging to tell me that if I've eaten, say, a plate full of cabbage with beans, for instance, that still makes me healthy because there's a lot of important nutrients that my body needs from that. So we do still have a lot of work to do with empowering the parents around nutrition education. But I would also say that, okay, so obviously empower parents, but I would also say that we need to teach our kids about the importance of nourishing their body from a young age to basically stop the cycle where the belief is that if I'm eating KFC, that makes me a better person than the person who sleeps on cabbage and beans not every night, but where sometimes your lunch or your dinner will just be cabbage and beans. I use that as an example because it's one of my favorites.
Yeah. Okay. So it's one of your favorite dishes.
No, love it so
cabbage
much.
and beans.
Cabbage and
Do you have other favorite dishes?
I do. Yeah.
Can you share? We also want to try them.
I love my traditional Swazi food.
Actually, I would love for you to share a little bit more on especially us being African as well.
Right.
More of the meals that we could be taking more, eating more.
Okay.
But also I just wanted to ask you on the importance of women, because one of the complaints that I've been hearing a lot, especially as women becoming empowered and working, it's like women don't cook anymore. They don't want to cook anymore. And people find themselves ordering takeouts quite a lot. I don't know. What do you think about food from restaurants? Do you think it is equally nutritious and healthy? No.
You can choose healthy. I mean, I go to restaurants, so I'm not bashing restaurants.
Yeah.
You can go there and definitely choose a healthier alternative. You can do chicken breast with the vegetables or a plate of salad. There are healthier alternatives, but it's always best to prepare your own food where you know how much oil you've added, what type of oil you've added, where you know what spices you've used, how much salt has been added to that, and where you can also control your portion size. Because restaurants will always give us heavier portions versus is what we should actually be eating. And because of that messaging that was ingrained in us, even in childhood, we all want to finish that plate of food that's in front of us. So restaurants are not always the best setting for your health, but we eat for both joy and for nutrition. So I'm not going to say don't go to a restaurant.
Absolutely.
But make better choices when you're in the restaurant setting.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. And then I just wanted your take on this, that would you say that it's important for women specifically, because most of the time they're the primary caretakers and they're the ones who prepare the meals, you know, they're responsible for almost everyone's health, to say they might be a little bit more proactive in knowing healthier diets and just meal preparation?
I think everyone should be proactive in that regard.
Yeah?
Yeah, no, definitely. But right, for women from that perspective, because there's also the other angle of, now what I'm seeing a lot of is women coming in perimenopausal, so that stage before menopause or menopausal, and their body's just wreaking havoc on them. I wouldn't say it's wreaking havoc because it's part of menopause, but now their body is just changing in an unexpected way. And that also ties into your nutrition when you're younger. So when it comes to women, okay, there's that side that you've mentioned, and then there's the part where we have to prepare our bodies for menopause.
Okay.
Because menopause is not just I get hot flashes and my period stops. It's your the hormones, your estrogen, your progesterone, your body's not producing as much of those anymore. So your bones tend to get weaker. You lose muscle. You then start to put on weight a lot more. So if your body's not prepared for that, it can be a whole shock to the system, or the experience you have is, I don't want to say worse, but may not have the best experience.
Yeah. So how can I prepare myself as a young person for menopause?
This is why I always say start taking care of yourself from a young age. Nutrition is not just about my body being healthy here and now. How you nourish your body determines your outcomes 10, 20, 30 years from now.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's why we always say things like, obviously, we've spoken extensively about the diet. So eating a well-balanced diet with your fruits, with your veggies, with your healthy carbohydrates, your lean protein as well. Drink lots of water, rest, exercise as well. Exercise is one. I don't know why we struggle with exercise as a society, but that is one area where we're struggling, especially with our weight training as well. Weight training is extremely important for women. So it's important. I meet a lot of women who say, I don't want to lift weights because then it's not possible for women to actually look like that because of our hormonal makeup, how the female body is just made up. So exercise is one of the best ways as well, especially the weightlifting, to prepare the body for that stage of life where you'll be perimenopausal and then menopausal. For the simple fact that weightlifting helps to strengthen both the bones and your muscle tissue. And those are the two main tissues that you start breaking down with age. Yeah.
Okay.
So if your body's strong now, it's more likely to be strong even at 40, at 50, at 60.
All right. So we need to start preparing now, ladies. You got that?
Yeah, definitely.
And what's your take on supplements?
Use them as needed.
Okay.
Use them always get guidance from your healthcare professional around whether or not you need supplements. Because what I find happens is people will then take supplements and then neglect a healthy, well-balanced diet. And as the term suggests, it's to supplement what's already going right. Your diet can't be a mess and then you think popping one pill with all your nutrients is going to fix all of that. It doesn't. So taking the supplements is dependent on your need as an individual. So it must always be individualized. That's what I always advise. Don't just ask your pharmacist wherever you go to purchase these things. It's not advisable to just take something off the shelf and start using it when you don't even know what's currently happening to your body here and now.
Okay. Because there is that, and more especially because we do see a lot of influencers on social media, and there's just that thing where maybe when you hit 25 you need to start taking your supplements. So it's not necessarily like that you just say it's a rule of some sort.
No, it's not necessarily a rule. No, because it depends on your current health status, how much of the particular nutrient is currently in your bloodstream. It also depends on if you have medical conditions or not. Certain medical conditions do call for the need for supplementation for people. Okay. So always get advice before you just start popping supplements. All right.
I feel like I just saved the buck. Buck there. Okay. All right. That's lovely.
I do take certain supplements just to share, but I'm like over 30. So But also it's to meet my current. So the reason I take certain supplements is because I train my workout program is extremely intense, and my goal is to build more muscle for my body. So I take supplements that support muscle building for the body.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Don't supplement
Gotcha.
everything under the sun.
And is there any type of foods that you would suggest for maybe reproductive or sexual health?
Is that a concern for everyone? But actually, Shem, we do see a lot of people where they are struggling with their fertility. Yeah, but again, ties back into that lifestyle. Okay, stress obviously being one of them, but let's just focus on the food for now. So when it comes to improving your fertility, it's basically it centers back to actually ensuring that your diet is high in certain nutrients, specifically those micronutrients, which we get a lot from our fruits, from our vegetables as well. But of course, you still need the right balance of your carbohydrates, your protein, and your healthy fats specifically.
What are healthy fats?
So healthy, practical examples of healthy fats, it's olives, your oily fish like salmon, mackerel. It's nuts as well, your avocados, your seeds like the flax seeds, your pumpkin seeds or chia seeds. Those are examples of healthy fats. So those are actually needed to keep the body healthy.
Okay.
Yeah. Unhealthy fats, of course, being things that are fried, all the overly processed foods. Those are the types of fats that can actually increase the risk of us developing certain diseases.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
In simple terms.
Making examples of foods. Are there any foods you'd strongly advise against to say red zones, don't touch these? Why are you even touching that?
The highly processed foods that we know are just an issue at the moment. I feel so sad, so sorry, so bad when I talk about the restaurants. But basically anything highly processed is a red zone.
Okay.
But of course, we live with this food day to day, so it's not to say completely do away with it. Some people have that discipline. I've seen them where they don't touch it at all. But having something that is highly processed from time to time is not going to be the end of the world for you, especially if you make sure that your body is overall well nourished.
Yeah.
But I don't want to leave us hanging with just saying processed food, because there's 8 billion people living on this planet. So we're all to some degree actually eating processed foods, because that's how the farmers, the food manufacturers ensure that the food has a long enough shelf life for us all to be fed. If they're without processing, we'd probably starve to death. So it drives me crazy when people are like, I don't want to touch processed food. There's 8 billion of us. What do you think the food manufacturers are going to do to feed us? So by processed foods, I'm talking about that food that's so heavily processed that it loses its nutritional value for you.
Balon.
Yes, things like that. Your fried foods, your cakes, your muffins, all those baked things. Yeah, yes.
I want a cake today.
Let me go have a small piece. Like, I also eat my cake.
But
your biscuits, your sweets, those are the types of processed foods that are a red zone. But if you have them in a controlled amount, then it doesn't do that. It doesn't do harm to the body. Because like I said, we eat for both nourishment and for joy. And it's important to find a balance between the two. Score. Impuphu.
Energy drink.
Oh, that sugary thing.
Oh my God. I saw it a lot when I was in uni. University students would take it so that they don't sleep. Abo score, abo monster. And then now I even notice it nje mangting at the hambela nje ekazi lapha embuleni. You say young man, 8 ekuseni so phethe score. Noma sodla nelpanisi. Yo guys.
Yeah, I know. And score is so sweetened, you can actually smell the sugar on a person's breath. It's crazy. But no, we don't advise going for sugar. I mean, for what do you call them? Energy drinks. Yeah, you'd rather nourish your body using food. Don't try and avoid taking shortcuts as much as possible. Yeah. Especially with that sugar. I mean, a can of these things normally has up to 40 grams of sugar at times, and that's almost 8 teaspoons of sugar in just one can.
And then later on, so diabetes. So diabetes, so nabo possible cardiovascular and
so nabo BP cardi as well.
It's lapha score 10 rand every day. We are investor le diabetes.
Basically. More insulin resistance, because it's not, you don't just develop diabetes overnight. It builds up
over time.
Yeah, yes. But
you come across a lot of young people, even in their 20s, but diagnosed as pre-diabetic.
I'm seeing a lot of that lately, actually. It's driving me crazy. Yeah.
So it could be the stress, lack of sleep, and then the diet.
Then the poor diet. You're buying banisi with your score or with your Coke, and then you call that breakfast.
But then again, people say clean eating is expensive. What would you say about that?
No, I say it is not. I think firstly, it depends on your priorities.
Yes.
I found that everything starts in the mind. It depends on how you have then channeled your thought process and where on your list of priorities you actually place your healthy eating or how you nourish your body. So I don't think it's expensive personally, especially when you've decided that this is what I want for myself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then
there are ways to make it affordable for you, or rather it's about prioritizing how you budget. Like, I remember when I was still a student, many years ago, I used to have, so my mom would send me an allowance because I was in Pretoria. But within that allowance, I had a budget here, about 150 to go replenish my produce at the supermarket at least every 2 weeks. So she came to my flat once and she found produce from Woolies, and she says, so you buy it from Woolies now? And I'm like, it lasts 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So, you need to find the strategy that's going to work best for you to sustain you on this healthy eating journey. So regardless of whether you have a family or you're living by yourself, it's about whether or not you see it as a priority.
Exactly.
And then you take that budget and you adjust. So imagine if you're spending 10 Rand on score every day. That's 70 Rand by the end of the week. How much would 70 Rand buy you if you go to the lady on the side of the road who's selling fruits and vegetables?
Exactly.
That will feed you over days instead of feeding you just once off.
Yeah. Totally. I agree with you. So partly when I left uni, during my transformative journey with self-development and wellness, I left campus and went to stay at a hostel that was outside of campus. And what I enjoyed the most about it is that there was a stove, so I would cook. I took the opportunity to just self-teach on preparing healthy meals. And one of the things that I would do, I would buy my 10 rands cabbage. And when preparing my meals, I have put in a little bit of oil, maybe. Boil my cabbage there and prepare my protein on the side, or is it meat? And like you say, the conversation would be clean eating is expensive, but if you make it a priority, it's just basically repurposing your money to say it was going to buy score, but now it's going to focus on fruits and vegetables. Spinach. We just need to bring back that culture. And reminding me of also a post that I saw on Instagram that talked about how eating healthy, the way eating healthy is so unpopular nowadays. When a person sees you eating... When a person sees you eating healthy, they ask you if you're on a diet. No, it's just food. I'm having food.
I'm nourishing my body. Exactly.
And one of the ways between my mother and I that we measure if something is healthy is by its shelf life, actually. So one of the things that we picked up was fish asiboli.
It's part of the processing.
Asiboli.
It's part of processing it,
But your beetroot, noma ngabe ubeke efrijini, butternut ngiyabola sekakhonza noma ngabe kusefrijini.
It hasn't, there's nothing that's been added to it to actually sustain that shelf life. But still, just because something is like njengoba ubekisa with the tinned fish, what I normally say to my patients, tinned fish, one of the reasons we love it as dietitians, it's a good protein source. Protein is good for building muscle. It helps with your immune system even. And then it's high in what we call omega-3. So omega-3 is part of that list of healthy fats that helps, I won't go into too much detail, that just helps with the overall health and well-being of the body. But now what makes omega-3 tricky is that it's normally, the best sources of omega-3 are oily fish, such as salmon. Salmon, if you go to a fish shop locally, it's about 140 for one fillet that serves you alone as Claudia, not your whole family. Versus the tinned fish, that's going to be 30 Rand, that will feed a family of 4. That's also high in omega-3, which nourishes the body. So then you need to weigh the pros and cons with certain things. Go to deprive myself of omega-3 because I can't afford salmon, or let's go for the more affordable omega-3 source that will not only feed me, but it feeds the entire family as well.
Okay, that's
and
helpful.
it's affordable. Yeah. So sometimes we beat ourselves up too much over things, and we're depriving ourselves of so much nutritional value over small details that in the long run won't even matter.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And I think the audience would punish me if I finish this episode without asking, what do you think is the leading cause of belly fat?
Poor diet, poor lifestyle. Yeah. And also, I mean, we do tend to put on, especially for women, but also for men, as we get older, we do start storing more fat, which then unfortunately gets stored around our bellies a lot of the time. And the only way to fight that is, like I said earlier, make your health your priority. Do something towards it on a daily basis. Then you don't even have to think about, is my stomach getting bigger or not? Because every day you've maybe taken a walk, or I prefer to go to the gym because I know myself. You need to know your strengths and your weaknesses, you know. So I exercise, I eat healthy, and I still live with my parents and my younger sister. So there's 4 of us. So my diet is not going to look how it would when I'm at home, when I'm living alone. But as a family, we prioritize certain things which make it easier for us to achieve our health goals. So we'll make sure we always have fruits in the house. We'll make sure that there's plenty of vegetables prepared. Then what I'll do when I now have to dish up my own food is I will dish it up in the correct portion sizes.
Okay.
That then in the long run helps me maintain my weight. Instead of saying, but I live at home, so let me just eat the way everyone else does. I've made those small tweaks so that can then help prevent or reduce the risk of me putting on a large amount of weight.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
So
right.
the belly fat just ties back to our lifestyles. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for sharing that. And speaking, of families, someone is sick, they need support. Most of the time, especially being emaswati, we'll give them a mahewu, indengane. But out of that, but out of that, I feel like we're not equipped to because another thing to take into consideration, this person doesn't have appetite.
Exactly.
The energy. So what is the best way to take care of someone who's under the weather?
It will depend on the type of condition that they have, and obviously the facilities that the family has, because unfortunately not all families are going to actually have the same type of resources. But definitely in that case, like you're saying, this person has a suppressed appetite, so we have to actually mentally prepare this person for eating. So you need to encourage them when it comes to the food. You need to be patient with them, because again, umuntu gulago is one of the most impatient people you'll ever encounter.
Yeah.
And as much as they love you, so you also, as the caretaker, need to be mentally prepared for those things, so you can actually equip this person or help this person. So it needs patience, it needs mental preparation. You need, with the person lokulago, you need to prioritize small frequent meals. 3 meals a day normally doesn't cut it, because they need so much more food so that the immune system can work efficiently. So you need to actually make sure they're eating frequently, at least 5 times a day. And then the balance there is extremely important. So emahewu on their own, or indengane, that's just carbohydrates. Where's the vitamin A? Where's the zinc? Where's the iron that will actually assist the immune system? So there, the balance is also then really important to ensure there's a bit of each nutrient on this person's plate in each of those 5 meals. And then, like you've touched on as well, adjust the consistency for this person as needed. We need to make sure they're taking something in that they can just easily swallow.
Yes.
With all the chewing, that still needs more of their energy as well. Yeah, and also you need to be aware as well in those cases of what types of spices to use, maybe what types of oil you should you or shouldn't you actually be using that oil for that person. Because in some cases, anything that's too oily for the sick person just triggers their nausea. Or anything that's too heavily flavored will then trigger their nausea. But again, prepare that person lokulago ukuthi we're going to have to adjust your diet until you actually make a full recovery. We're doing this for you so that you can recover. The nice food, I always say to people, nice food is not going anywhere. We were born sakhanza. We will die and it will still be here. So really, a short-term sacrifice for a long-term gain is never a waste of your time or energy.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So just to give a tip to the audience, what my mom normally does to help someone who's under the weather is to make soups. She just makes soups. So sometimes she can use your pumpkin, your butternut or potato. She boils it, mashes it, and then she's gonna add water and then maybe threads of spinach, chop it to be small, you know,
or just like some chicken.
Yes,
as well,
threads of chicken. So when it's warm and it's just easy to swallow, they don't have to do a lot of chewing. Then they get the nutrition at the same time.
Exactly.
You know? So yeah.
Lapo, when your person's sick, we're being functional. We're not here for gastronomic experiences or culinary experience where they were functional now. We need you to recover.
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay. All right. And would you say there's any link to diet and depression?
There is some research that's showing now that there is a link between our mental health and our digestive health, which obviously then trickles back to the diet. So I don't know if you've seen, but there's a lot of talk around gut health at the moment.
Yes.
It's currently all the rage in the scientific world, especially with nutrition, but not just generally in the scientific world. So the research around gut health. So what we now know about the digestive system is, firstly, it's called the second brain of the body. So that's because that's how big a role or responsibility it has for your body outside of the brain, second to the brain, of course. So your digestive system is responsible for things like your immune health. It's also responsible for the production of certain hormones that affect our mood. Serotonin, dopamine, those are actually, a large number of them are also produced in your digestive system. So what we look at is basically more your gut health. So now we know that there's a lot of bacteria, like trillions worth of bacteria that lives in our digestive system. It's actually more than the cells that make up the body. It's crazy, right? It's a lot. So that bacteria is actually a mix of both good and bad. So what determines what thrives is the type of diet and lifestyle that you're living. So if your diet is poor, it's more processed foods, no vitamins in there, no fruits, no vegetables, you in essence create the ideal environment for the bad bacteria to thrive. Whereas if your diet is actually high in fruits, vegetables, it's got plenty of fiber for that bacteria to feed on, you then allow the healthy bacteria to thrive. So the research is showing that generally if your gut is not in a healthy place, you're more prone to developing issues around your mental health. But it's all still fairly new, so there's not a lot that's known, so there'll be a lot more research coming out in that area.
Okay.
Yeah, but no, definitely there is that link between your diet, your lifestyle, and your mental health.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Thank you for sharing that. And then another thing that I tend to notice, a lot of young men feeling like having self-esteem issues because of body size. Is there any type of foods that would encourage that would help them bulk up? And
that's more a twofold approach between both the gym as well as your eating. Because now if you're going to be eating more, you need that food to work somewhere. So get into the gym and you need to lift some weights as well. So they can follow, again, that diet, that approach would be more individualized because you need to actually sit with your dietitian, discuss the issues you have around your nutrition, and then we create a plan for you in alignment to your needs as an individual to actually help you pick up the weight. But it is definitely possible. It's just that, as with everything in life, it's a challenge. So I found most people think losing weight is hard, but the person who wants to gain weight and you're telling this person you need to eat 5 meals a day looks at you like you're crazy. It's also a challenge for them.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's not impossible.
All right. Yeah. But you know what? Based on our conversation today, what I'm picking up is that all roads lead to having a dietitian.
Basically.
So how do people find you?
You can find me on social media. I am at Mbabane Clinic 5 days a week, so you can find me there as well.
Okay.
Yeah. And then there are also other dietitians in the country. I'm not the only one, believe it or not. There's quite a few of us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so you can just look for dietitians online, but your social media handles for people to find you?
The Swazi dietitian. Okay. That's where you can find me.
Are you the Swazi dietitian on LinkedIn?
Yes, I am.
Okay. What does KSD mean?
Khumbu Sanzile Dlamini. It's my initials. Yeah.
All right.
It's
okay.
my full name.
Yeah. So please, ladies and gentlemen, do make sure to follow Khumbu on her social media platforms. She does share a lot of tips around diet, but also she does share a lot of tips around wellness as a whole.
Yeah,
you know,
'cause I love wellness. as a
yes,
whole. Yeah,
she lives and breathes wellness. And
Yeah,
honestly,
basically.
I feel like this reflects through your skin. You have
Thank you.
amazing skin.
Thank you.
My God.
Yeah, no, it takes a lot of work.
And
Yeah.
it takes taking care of your inner world, which is your diet as
Precisely.
well.
Yeah.
Because we do see a lot of acne, hyperpigmentation, and all of that.
Yeah, we
and
do.
it all correlates to diet,
to the diet,
sleep,
exactly.
and
Sleep,
wellness,
exercise
hygiene.
as well. It also ties back into that bacteria in your gut as
Yeah.
well. Yeah. So everything just
Ngajaki
ties
ukuthi
back to-
sichitfo.
Wait for what is that? Now you've lost me.
You don't know sichitfo?
No.
People there, while they're fighting over mujoros or works and whatever, they go to the Inyanga says a potion
okay.
and puts, and
Yeah.
then it shows up on your skin.
Nah.
So sometimes
We're
it's
not
just the
doing
diet.
No, it's just the diet. It's
yeah,
just the diet.
and hygiene
And water.
and water.
Yeah.
You know, I was actually curious because I was asking you about, I bought Coca-Cola here and I'm offering her some Coca-Cola and she says, I don't
No,
take that drink,
don't
you know.
do that.
It's like-
Yeah.
But look, another thing that you touched on diet that I appreciate, because sometimes we get to be a little bit hard on ourselves and be like, I don't take this anymore. But what I did actually, and my mom always asks me, she says, "Ngubona udla everything, pasola ukulphala ubositshela mawugula sis." And I'm like, no, first of all, I pay attention to the potions.
Exactly.
Secondly, I do take a little bit of everything. So I went through my weight loss journey. I was hiking, I was
Were you
jogging.
bigger than this?
I was bigger than this.
Seriously?
I think I was going
Wow.
for 80 and
Wow,
I've been
would
like
have
on
never-
65 now.
Would have never thought.
You could have never.
No.
Yeah, most people don't believe it and they always laugh, even when I'm at the shop and coloring new bras and I'm like, yeah, phela bengisidudla. They just look at me like I'm crazy. And I'm like, yeah.
believing that.
I was big.
Yeah.
I was big, and then I was on a whole self-development and wellness journey, and I was
That you
on my
shared
weight
on
loss.
social media.
yeah, and then I shared on social media, and I haven't been gaining weight, and I think 80%, as they say, is diet, because
Yeah,
I don't
no,
even move as much anymore, but because I pay attention to my diet, I think it's the reason that I've been able to maintain.
Yeah.
Age
But it
as
also
well probably
depends-
contributes.
It depends on your body as well. 'Cause-
Is it?
Yeah. So I actually did a genetic test. So you can actually do genetic tests as well to see.
Is it online? Or we come to you for
No,
that
you
as
come
well?
to me or go to Dr. Shongwe at the clinic. Dr. Shongwe, the female one, because I think there's two of them. But anyway,
Okay.
yeah. So we just take a swab inside your cheek and then we can send it off to a lab in South Africa.
Okay.
There's different types of tests. One is for your health, one for nutrition, one is for your skin health. And it shows us genetically what actually works best for you.
Okay.
So, I mean, I'd always, when I was younger, I realized that my weight is better maintained with exercise. Because if I stop exercising but eat the way I do now, I will start to like gradually gain weight. So I actually did the DNA test and the results showed that the best way for me to maintain my weight is through exercise. So it also depends on each person and it depends on that individual. Like if I stop working out for even 4 weeks, the difference, I feel the difference.
Wow.
I feel the difference. My clothes will start to show the difference.
So your
each
discipline
person-
needs to be at par.
Yeah, that's why I just have a personal. I always tell people I have a personal trainer because I also need someone to hold me accountable. Because I know that exercise is the best way to maintain my weight.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Do you have any closing remarks, anything you'd like to share with the viewers at home? And just strongly encourage them to visit you
Oh,
or consult with you.
Guys, come consult when you need help. You can't always do these things alone. That's what I mean. That's why we all have helpers in each area of our life. I have a therapist, a life coach, and a personal trainer.
You invest in your
I
wellness.
invest in my well-being because the way I see it is you only get one body in this life. This one
Exactly.
fails you. There's no backup that you're going to get. So you need this one to be in the best state physically as well as mentally.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And also prioritize yourself, people. Like, because that's what we miss. When I tell people that I need a life coach, a therapist, as well as a personal trainer, everyone thinks, but that money. But what else would I do with the money? Because then next thing you know, you're going to take that money and maybe squander it. I'd probably buy a ton of clothes because I love to shop.
Yeah.
Someone else might be on alcohol. And at the end of the
Did we touch on alcohol? Can you say something a
we
little
did
bit on
not.
alcohol?
Guys, there's no health benefits to drinking alcohol. Please.
Finish and
Just
clear.
not even the wine with its little antioxidants. No, there are no health benefits to consuming alcohol. Let's just
If we can, as much as we can, we should be avoiding alcohol.
as much as you can, you
But
should be avoiding
suppose
it.
that because of his stress.
That's where work on other ways to manage your
Yeah,
stress.
absolutely.
Maybe that one day. I'm not saying don't consume it at all, but to spend your whole weekend drunk, what are you doing to your body at that point in time? You're not going to get the best health outcomes if every weekend your body's just breaking down. Breaking down alcohol takes a toll on the body. Like if that's how many? It takes 10 hours for the body to start excreting alcohol. So for 10 hours, your liver is just working on breaking down that alcohol that you've consumed. That means other functions of the liver are compromised at that point in time.
Yeah,
because it's just working on this alcohol alone.
It's giving shots must fall.
Yeah.
Shots must fall.
Audience won't like us after this. They won't like me.
But look, Khumbu, it's been a pleasure to meet you. I enjoyed this. It was so informative. It was so educational. I wish I could have you over and over and over again in this podcast, You
can, Sherman. I don't know who to fill this slot with. Just call me.
Oh, yes, absolutely. I'm so happy to hear that. Thank you so much once again for making the time to come here and have this conversation with us. We'd like to wish you well on your journey as well, and hope to keep in touch. So
we will definitely.
Yes,
yeah,
absolutely. Oh, she's just a bowl of candy, radiating all good vibes.
Thank you. I try.
Oh, love you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, viewers at home, once again, thank you so much for joining us on Real Talk with Claudia. I'm confident that you had a lot to digest mentally, not in your gut today. Please do make sure to share this episode with anyone that you know, not even anyone that you feel like they need this episode, anyone that you know, because everyone takes sustenance, everyone takes food. So they need a couple of reminders and tips from this episode as well. So share with your wife, share with your boyfriend, share with your child, share with anyone. Okay. And please do make sure to tune in on the next episode if you want to get more content like this again and become a better individual. Once again, I'll encourage you to subscribe on this page, follow us on our social media pages, follow TFE Network, follow Claudia Boana on Instagram, and do make sure to follow Khumbu Dlamini
on Instagram and LinkedIn.
Yes. And as you know, we end every episode with a quote, and our quote today is from Hippocrates. I think Hippocrates was a doctor in the medieval age. I'm not sure.
The original physician.
Yes. Look, she knows.
He's the original physician.
She knows her stuff. She knows her stuff. And the quote says, "Let food be thy medicine, and medicine be thy food." And to be honest, you know what? Before all these pharmaceuticals, the true medicine is food. So that is it from Real Talk with Claudia. Until next time, with love.
Thank you.